Mardi Gras. If you are not familiar with Mardi Gras or the traditions in New Orleans or the Deep South parade tradition, you are in for a treat today. Today we are going to make everything Mardi Gras right for the table. A lot of it's easy, a lot of it's delicious, and it is going to be fun. What do you know about Mardi Gras?
Not much.
Not much at all. You've never been past what? Oklahoma?
Oklahoma, yes.
Holy smokes, girl, you're gonna learn. All right, today we're gonna make beignets. Beignets, if you have never had a beignet, are awesome with coffee, and most people up north would equate them with, say, a funnel cake that you would get at the fair.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna have the dough rise. While that's rising, we're gonna turn around and make muffalettas, which is a New Orleans sandwich tradition.
Okay.
Now it's not just a sandwich because there's a very special sauce that we have to make. So we'll make that olive sauce, and then what we'll do is put that in the fridge, come back, and then, yay for our friends at Safeway, shrimp is on sale, gumbo on the stove.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna tell you a story. So beignets are, if you go to New Orleans and you do not get a beignet, bad, bad, bad for you. We're gonna deep fry it at the very end because it'll just blow up the house with all sorts of smell. It is decadent. The more fat, this is why I got all of this, that you put in a beignet, the better, because it's gonna fry up that much better. Then I've got a whole big honking thing of powdered sugar, and we're gonna smother that thing in powdered sugar. And you just eat it straight out of the deep frying pan. And I don't know, it's maybe like 2,500 calories each. No, I'm just teasing. I'm just teasing. It's all right. It's all right. Okay, so the recipe says the first thing, and this is actually pretty easy, we're gonna grab the scissors, ta-da, and here, and we're gonna put in a packet of yeast. And if you're using the jar yeast, it's going to be, I've got all these recipes right here. It's going to be 2 1/4 teaspoons. So let's just make sure. And this one says it's 4 teaspoons. Here's my theory. I think more yeast, the better. That's just me. That's just me. So I'm gonna go ahead and dump this in, and then we need to turn the faucet on because whenever you're working with yeast, you need really almost too hot to touch water. Okay, so I've got really 1.5 cups of really warm water, and all I'm gonna do is put it in the bowl. Now here's the thing with yeast. I make a lot of dough by hand. What you want to do is make sure that it's dissolved. See, there's still kind of crummy looking lumps in here, and that's not cool. So it should have that milky color. Now here's the weird thing with this particular recipe, because what we're going to put in next is we're going to add the sugar, and for this particular recipe it's going to be 1/2 cup of sugar. So all I'm gonna do is turn this upside. Actually, let's go the easy route. Let's do that. 2 of those. And let me get the eggs out of the way because they're gonna go in next. We're also gonna put in 2 eggs. Okay. Yep, just drop it right in there. And I probably should have gotten the whisk out. All right, so we were kind of talking off camera. Here's the deal in the Deep South. I'm gonna just tell you my story because it's essentially the exact same thing as Mardi Gras in New Orleans. Everyone knows Mardi Gras in New Orleans starts in February with Fat Tuesday, and that is the official start of the parade season. And the parade season in the Deep South is a big, huge deal. And it is essentially 8 to 12 weeks, if not longer, of parties. That's it, parties, parties, parties. So going back to Tallahassee, and they're all the same, okay? They all have beads, they all have parades, they all have big costumes, and lots of alcohol. It's true, sorry. Anyway, so in Tallahassee, our parade is called Springtime Tallahassee, and it happens on or about the 1st of April every year. 250,000 people come to Springtime Tallahassee. And the whole parade is put on by what we call crews, and that's spelled K-R-E-W-E-S. Now, every single parade, every single festival always has crews. But in Tallahassee, our crews are made up of different periods of time in Florida history. So there's the antebellum crew, there's the territorial crew, there's the Spanish crew, the 20th century crew, all of these different crews. And they all have these ginormous floats, and each float is about 100 feet, if not longer, with a bunch of sometimes little moving floats around them. That's how we came up with the rotary duck float.
Oh yeah?
Here, idea, because I was completely dismayed with the quality of floats that I saw in Ketchikan. We had to have a real float. So anyway, with that being said, the parade happens and everyone decks out on all these floats, and then they throw out their beads. And all the people wait along the parade route. The parade is actually 3 hours long. But there's also not only a parade, there's also a whole season of parties. So it starts with the 12th night ball, then and there's all sorts of big black tie balls, and there's red carpets, and the press covers it and everything. So it's a big, huge deal. And it's also very important when you go to the balls that you have the proper food. So some of what we're making today is what they serve at things like Mardi Gras. So it's a tradition. People don't think, it's not like you just show up to New Orleans and take your clothes off and get some beads. No, that's not how it works. It's all about the food and parties as well. So we've got this all mixed up, and that looks like it's mixed really well. So next what we're gonna do is we're gonna put in 4 cups of flour, and we're gonna beat that until smooth, and then in goes the fat.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and put in 4 cups of flour. While you're doing that, we're gonna need 1 cup of evaporated milk. So this is 12 ounces, go ahead and measure that. Right there. Okay, so I'm gonna add this in while you're adding the flour. It should make it a little bit easier. And then we're gonna use a hand mixer to beat this up. This is not the type of dough that you're necessarily gonna use your hands to mix it up.
And 4.
Excellent. So I'll move it over there. And the next thing that we're gonna add will be the shortening after we mix that up, but we are gonna need that flour again.
Okay.
So here's the thing, we're making regular beignets today, but there's variations on beignets. So if we wanted to add vanilla, we could do that. There's also a ham and corn beignet. Essentially, it's a fritter. That's all it is. We're gonna make ours hopefully look pretty by cutting them into squares. But if you don't wanna do that, it's deep fried dough.
Yeah.
So you could make it in a ball and just throw it in the deep fryer. So excuse me for a second. So the other tradition with a festival like a springtime is that you're all dressed up, you have all these beads, millions and millions and millions of beads. And so, everyone collects beads. Since we're getting a new test kitchen very soon, my beads are actually, unfortunately, packed up. But you also travel with your float. So there's a festival in Destin, Florida called Billy Bowlegs. There's one in Tampa called the Rough Riders. And they go all the way across the Gulf Coast until you get to New Orleans. And they're also all over Mississippi. There's always in the Deep South, you must have a parade queen.
Oh, really?
Yep. In Tallahassee, it was actually a group of young men and women, and they go through etiquette class, and they all dress in big ball gowns and tuxes, and they were called the Belles, B-E-L-L-E-S, and Gents. And so they have actually their own float too.
Oh, that sounds really cool.
And then, since it is also, it's kind of a weird thing because in large part, it is very much a family affair. You have multiple generations of each family participating in all of these parades and festivals. But on the other hand, it's also a really adult thing. And so we were kind of laughing off camera, particularly in Tallahassee, the parade lineup is very, very early. So you get to the float barn. We actually have an official float barn where we store all of these floats.
It's gonna be a big barn.
And these floats are like pulled by John Deere tractors, like the big kind. And so you pull your float out, you go downtown to Tallahassee, all line up. You need to be in the lineup by about 8 or 8:30, and usually they're by 8. But what most people who are watching the parade don't know is that in the back of every float, there's a full-on bar, and usually a couple kegs too. All right, so this is that. We're just gonna mix this up a tiny bit. Hopefully no mishaps here. And people always come to our parade. We have people from out of town all the time come to the Springtime Tallahassee Parade. And it's a big deal. You always want to treat your visiting dignitaries right. And that's one other reason why you have all the balls. The weekend of the parade it actually is a 5-day weekend. So it starts with a big party and it ends with a big party. And I'll be honest with you, it's exhausting.
It sounds exhausting.
It is very exhausting, especially now I had long hair when I lived in Tallahassee. I mean, you want to talk about some southern women and their big hair. Holy smokes, that's exhausting just getting that ready. Ooh, so this is actually smelling really, really good. So you really could put whatever you want. We're just doing the standard New Orleans beignet right now.
Yeah, I think that would be really easy.
Yeah. And this, you know, if you wanted to put vanilla in it or cinnamon, you could do that too. But these are great. These are great with coffee. Okay, so that is mixed up. Now, haha, for the fun part. Ta-da! Why do I feel like Will is going to mix in some like, you know, horror music? Clogging your arteries. Let's see, how much do we need of this? 1/4 cup of shortening. So I like these because this has it's kind of like margarine. So I just need 6 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? 4. Oh my God, I'm getting so old. This is bad. Okay, so 4. Well, we could, you know, the more grease, the better. I saw Chef Joel at the grocery this morning, and he said, we were talking about beignets, and he goes, oh my God, honey, it doesn't really matter what you put in there, just the more fat, the better they're gonna fry up.
You can always put more then.
I told him, I told him he could stop by. He'll probably stop by and be like, oh my God, you guys are doing it totally wrong. Okay, so bam, in that goes. No additional packaging needed. All right, and we'll mix this up. Now the interesting thing about this particular recipe, and this one is actually from a New Orleans shop, they say to chill the dough. I don't know if that's really important. You're really supposed to let your dough set up for longer than we're going to do today. But you could store this in your fridge for like 24 hours. Okay, so now let's just double check it. Yep, 3.
Okay, 3 more. Okay.
Okay. Okay, so I'm going to keep mixing.
This doesn't want to open.
It's the curse of the test kitchen packaging. So the beignet was actually named the official donut of Louisiana. Did you notice how I said that? A lot of Northerners make that mistake. It's not New Orleans. It's not technically Louisiana. If you're really from there, it's Nolans. That's like Nawlans or Louisiana.
Okay.
Okay, so just kind of add that gradually. Oh, see, now it's starting to thicken up. Smells good. You know, I bet it would be really cool too. You could, if you wanted a variation, you could probably add in a little bit of, say, brown sugar.
Oh, that would be good.
Now, technically, you always use a powdered sugar on top of your beignets, but if you wanted to be festive, you know, the colors for Mardi Gras are purple and green. You could maybe do a coating. You could take your, say, like what you would put on sugar cookies, you know, like the little granules, like the sugar granules, buy your colors, and then put those in what I would use as a coffee grinder that you would use for your beans. Throw that sugar in there, grind it up until it's a powder too, and then you could make your beignets festive by putting the powdered sugar, colored sugar. Right, yeah. Okay. One more. Now, where's my KitchenAid when I need it? I think it's already packed up. I need to give this a rest. So we're also, in honor of Mardi Gras, we're going to do another show soon, and we're going to do you know what a king cake is?
No.
Okay, so a king cake is a very huge tradition in Mardi Gras. And what that is you make a cake, and inside because quite frankly, Mardi Gras is a religious holiday. I'm not quite sure what people are worshiping, but they're worshiping something, but it really started as a religious kind of festival. And so there is a plastic baby Jesus stuck somewhere in the cake when you bake it. And so it's a really delicious cake, and they use those colors that we talked about. And then somewhere inside is the baby Jesus, and the deal goes like this. If you get the piece of cake with the baby Jesus, you're gonna have a whole year's worth of good luck. But the only bad luck part about it, or depending on how you look at it, whether or not you bake, if you get the piece of cake with the baby Jesus, you are responsible for making the king cake for next year's party.
Oh.
So, could be good, could be bad. Also, the gumbo that we're gonna make today, people can be big time.
Does it have flour?
No, it doesn't have flour. No.
I think that's again.
It's, but people, people are, it's a lot, kind of like chili. People really, they can become gumbo snobs. But since a lot of folks up here, particularly down south, since a lot of people up here aren't really super familiar with a true Louisiana gumbo, what I did is I just took a really, really simple recipe that's easy. So a lot of people, if you're watching this and you are one of those gumbo snobs, you might laugh, but you gotta start easy. So there's a number of different things in our gumbo recipe today that you can add. It's kind of like the basic gumbo, but then there's a bunch of other things that you could add to it. So today's gumbo is gonna be shrimp, chicken, and andouille sausage. And we're also gonna put in some Cajun seasoning, so it'll have a little bit of a kick to it. And of course, black-eyed peas. People use different kinds of vegetables in their gumbo, and we're gonna spice it up with a few other items as well. But that dish is actually, it really only takes about half an hour to make, start to finish, so it's super duper easy. So I'm gonna just kind of get my hands in here and make sure that this it's already actually starting to rise a little bit. And I'm just gonna kind of make it into a dough ball. And can you grab that? Thanks. And then we'll just let this set while we make our olive contraption for the muffalettas. I don't know, what do you think? I think we ought to do the hot muffalettas.
I think that would be fun, yeah.
I've seen them both ways, but another really popular sandwich down south is a po' boy. And po' boys are awesome too. It's kind of a different version of a muffaletta. It uses a different type of bread, but you can, they big, really, really popular po' boys would be an oyster po' boy or a crawdad. Mud bugs, you know what a mud bug is? Nope. It's like, a mud bug is like, it's a crawdad. It's a little red, it's like a mini lobster.
Oh, okay.
But they live in the mud.
And do they taste like lobster?
They're actually really good. They are really good. And so what a lot of people do is they'll have big parties. We actually had one every year ourselves where they'll go out and they'll get pounds and pounds. I usually got between 100 and 150 pounds of mud bugs.
Like you actually physically go out and get them?
No, you get them from a supplier.
Oh my God.
No, so what we do is we would just get, these ginormous pots and throw in Old Bay and Creole seasoning, really, really spice it up, and you'd have a crawfish boil, and you just lay out these ginormous tables. And so because of the nature, their shell is not as hard as a lobster. It's almost kind of like some of the crabs that we have here. It's almost like a soft-shelled crab, if you will, but it looks like a lobster. So it soaks in that seasoning, and then you just dump them all on this table. And people you literally don't have to take them apart, you just suck them. Okay, so this is an important part of muffalettas because a muffaletta is not a muffaletta without the olive salad. And the olive salad is gonna go in the middle of the sandwich. It's almost like a pesto or a sauce. And this is actually something that was invented in New Orleans. And so we're gonna go ahead and make that. It was actually Central Grocery that made it famous. So we're gonna need olive oil, capers. You must have olives with the pimentos. We bought some Italian giardiniera sauce, and we've got some pepperoncini. Ever seen that?
Pepperoncini?
Yep, they have that at Safeway. And we have some Greek olives, and we've got some garlic and some oregano. We've got some lemon juice, this is actually sitting here for a reason because on po' boys and muffalettas, a lot of people, they'll toast them, they'll have this paste in the middle, and then they'll peel it back and they'll put a little bit of Italian dressing on top. So this is an optional item, so I'll leave it over here.
Okay.
All right, so let's get started. All right, so first up, let's do the olives, and we need a 3/4 cup of those, and I will grab these back here. So if you've never been to Mardi Gras, well, Mardi Gras is actually kind of celebrated in New Orleans year-round because honestly, it's a tourist thing for them.
Oh, not again. I'm bad at opening. Apparently I'm bad at opening things.
Ta-da! Somewhere in here I have one. But if you've never been to Mardi Gras, here's just as a former Southern person myself, if you have never been to the Deep South or you've never been part of the carnival or parade circuit, you need to be very, very careful if you go to New Orleans during Mardi Gras. It can really get out of hand. There's a lot of petty theft, and they've cleaned it up a lot, but it's just something, I wouldn't take my children to Mardi Gras in New Orleans. Now, my children have always participated in what we would call the lesser festivals, like springtime, even though it's huge because they make it a family affair. And a lot of the other festivals along the Gulf Coast, like in Mobile, Mobile's huge. They have tons of crews. And by the way, there's rules when it comes to crews. In Tallahassee, and I know Mobile is the exact same way, you must be asked to join a crew.
Oh, you just can't like, hey,
You can't
I'm
just
here.
show up. You have to be invited by someone. You have to be approved, and it is limited to 50 couples. Period. End of story. That's our crew. Once we're at 50, there's a waiting list, and the Spanish crew in Tallahassee has a waiting list that's 3 years long,
Oh, wow.
if not longer.
So how many of these?
So we need a 3/4 cup of the olives, and while you're doing that,
With the juice?
I would probably drain it. Don't do the juice in there. And matter of fact, since that's kind of a weird, that's a large jar, we'll go ahead and spoon those out. And then we're gonna need a 1/4 cup of the Greek olives. And I think I'm gonna probably do it the same way. But this particular sauce will keep in your refrigerator for a decent amount of time. But I don't think it's gonna be around for very long because this is a darn good sandwich. Oh, these look good. They smell good too. I love olives. Let's see if I've got another. All right, we've got them all over here. So, do we have a 1/4 cup over there? Oh no, here it
I
is.
have one over there.
Okay, so 1/4 cup. Okay, so you've got 3/4 cup there.
Just dump it on.
Yep, dump it in. And that's all we're gonna do. This is a bunch of other things. So next up, we've got a 1/4 cup of these olives. We're gonna do a 1/4 cup of the pickled Italian vegetables.
Make sure you get those onions in there.
And you know, honestly, I think the onions are optional. Pickled onions, for me, not so much. You know, people always laugh because they're watching TV and they watch all these, like, you know, the pageant shows that are on reality TV. That really happens. I mean, it's a big deal.
Oh,
During season, it is a big deal to be named the princess or the queen. They bring in professional photographers to photograph these kids. And again, back in Tallahassee, it's only for teenagers, but I know once you get over into Mississippi and back into Louisiana, you're gonna have pageants for every single age group that there is. We got that, 1/4 cup of that. And you know, you could double or triple this recipe depending upon the size of your crowd.
I'm dropping food over here.
And we're gonna go 2 tablespoons of the capers. You know what we're talking about? What are capers? I have no idea. Capers to me are kind of one of those highly annoying ingredients.
I don't think I've ever had them.
I don't know. And do you ever hear of a single person saying, "I really just want to eat capers from the jar"? Watch, someone watching this probably are going, "Hey, I like capers.
I do that.
Capers, it's my favorite food." Not. But you can really smell that. Yep.
It's not very much.
It doesn't seem. You know what we could do is we could double the recipe. Want to do that?
Okay.
Let's double
let's
it.
do that.
Let's just add more of everything. More is good. So here's another little tidbit for you. Is I'm gonna kind of eye this with my. Oh, there they are. 2 tablespoons of the capers, which now I'm gonna make 4 tablespoons. You know how the whole myth or actual it really happens about? I kind of made
food everywhere.
I made mention that you don't just show up and take off your clothes and get beads. That is actually not a tradition. And it's actually by the genteel folks that are actually part of the parade. It's really frowned upon in the cruise because there's a very specific etiquette that you're supposed to follow.
It sounds like, I mean, it's taken very seriously. So...
Oh, it is. It's a huge big deal. And I mean, you have dues and you have a monthly party that you have to attend all year round, not just during the season. But anyway, back to the whole thing that came about where people throw out beads to people who are disrobing themselves, generally speaking women. The whole reason that came about is the advent of handheld video cameras. It's okay, you got an apron on, you're good. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead.
Well, I was trying to avoid.
Whoops, here. Now see, I'm making a big mess now. Yeah, because people had the handheld video cameras, right? And what they were trying to do.
Do you have a fork?
Yeah.
Okay.
What they're trying to do is make money. It's actually in the dishwasher. They're trying to make money off of taking these videos of these people taking their clothes off, and so that's the reason why, but it's really definitely very frowned upon.
How'd they get this in here?
I have no idea. Oh my God.
It's not coming out.
I think you need a knife, dear. There you go. Packaging problems, packaging problems. Okay, so that's enough capers. Ugh. Ugh. Smell those. I don't know, it's like, right? I'm gonna have to do some research on capers. I'm gonna grab another
At least there's not a lot in there.
load of these olives.
Still not liking me.
And so back to the floats. Every year, and again, actually, I know this to be true just about everywhere because the floats are so extensive. Okay, let's keep it local for a second. Okay, so how many years have you seen the First City Rotary duck in the parade, right? About 3 years in a row? And it's kind of a slight variation, but it is the same duck.
Yes.
Like this year, our duck will be a Mardi Gras duck. But it's always a slight variation of the same kind of core concept. Okay, the same goes down south with the big, huge... What?
The pepperoni?
Oh, wait. What am I doing?
How many?
Oh, how many? Sorry. Pepperoni. 2 large.
2 large. Okay.
That's what it says. So we're gonna go 4 large.
Well, I put one in there because there was one in here. So.
Go ahead and put 3 in. So with the floats, they always do the same thing. Ours was always, I don't think ours is a good example because ours was kind of a steamboat and it was hard to make different every year. But the Spanish crew back in Tallahassee, they do a great job with their ship. And so last year what they did is they had all of these moving jellyfish. They took umbrellas and everyone dresses up, right? They had this whole flotilla of jellyfish, with the things coming off their umbrellas, and they were walking around with jellyfish. And then what they did is they made giant sea animals with like kids go-karts and various kind of things like that, and 4-wheelers. And so they had all of these moving animals, and then they had all of
really
the
cool.
ladies laying on the side of the pirate ship like mermaids.
That
So now
sounds
this
really
year,
neat.
depending upon whatever the theme of Springtime Tallahassee is, they'll still have a ship, but what they'll do is they'll make it some sort of other theme. And it was always hard to beat them. Spanish crew always wins. Hey, no eating on the set. So now we need 1 clove of garlic. We're gonna eye this because I'm not gonna stand here and chop up, garlic. Forget it. So I would say put 2 tablespoons in there.
2 table.
And this is gonna be really fun. The last lone lemon in the test kitchen. Just harder than a rock. I'm serious, it really is. And I don't think it really matters in this case if you use lemon or lime juice. I just think it's a personal preference. I think it's just in there to give it a little citrusy. Get rid of these seeds. Okay, so tell me what you've been cooking since the last time you were in the test kitchen. Because you said you've gotten into cooking a little bit.
Better. Nothing too exciting. Oh, I have been making my own like homemade chili.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, pretty simple though, like nothing too extravagant, but. And then just basic meat and potatoes type thing.
So I gotta apologize to Jacob, the camera dude, right now. A couple of stray lemon seeds got in there. Oops. Ouch. Okay, so we've got some lemon juice in there. We're gonna add some Creole seasoning. Oops, I'm sorry. 2 tablespoons of olive oil and some black pepper.
4.
Yeah, 4. And then I'm gonna throw in some black pepper.
Okay.
Just a couple shakes of the Creole seasoning, and I would say a couple shakes of that. And I already put the oregano in. Go a little more on that pepper. Let's give it some bite. There we go. Good deal. Awesome. But now I gotta move this over.
What's the name of the sauce again?
This is called Muffaletta olive salad. Strangely intense. Oh, look, now look at me. You know, I swear these people make these kitchen things just so I can be embarrassed. At least you know what? I shouldn't say it right now. I was just gonna, I'll say it after. Let's just see if it happens. I was gonna say, I haven't had a blender explode on me yet.
Yeah, don't jinx it.
Nice, 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 nice. That is perfect. Check that out.
Looks delicious.
Smells good too. That was nice. Why don't I just put my whole face in there? I'll let you do that, and I'll start getting the stuff out for the gumbo. One huge pan, prerequisite. Bam. That one, you know, this one actually might not be big enough. And this gumbo literally, okay, so you said you've been making chili lately. This gumbo is going to be in that same difficulty level because I wanted to keep it really, really simple. I mean, there are some people when they're making their gumbo, there's a special way they've got to do their shrimp. There's some people put the crawdads in their gumbo. Some people put this, some people put that. And there's all levels of spiciness. We're just gonna keep it simple so that folks here, these are ingredients that they can find at their grocery store right here in Ketchikan and not have to worry about it. I mean, seriously, because I don't know about you, but I'm not flying any crawdads into Ketchikan. Okay, so that's cool. That can just go in the fridge. Hopefully there's room. And ironically enough, this is called Big Easy Gumbo. So this recipe actually calls for peanut oil.
Peanut oil?
No, forget it. You know, I think some people put these stupid things in these recipes just because they want to sound fancy or more gourmet. It doesn't matter. It's gumbo. It's not special. It's not on top. So you're going to use a half cup of either olive oil or, because every good Southern cook keeps at least this much in their kitchen, we're going to use vegetable oil. But really, we're going to be deep frying the beignets in this. So if you don't have a deep fryer at your house,
I do. So, yes.
Oh, amen, sister.
Yeah.
Good.
Another Christmas present from my mother-in-law.
Your mother-in-law was trying to get you to cook, right? That's awesome. Okay, so we're going to do a half cup of that. Oh no, you know what? Look at the next ingredient.
Flour. Okay.
Sorry.
I can do it.
I'm gonna get the onion out.
Okay. Half cup. You work this.
Okay, so for liquids, up,
Oh, there we go. Okay.
half cup. There we go.
Looking at the wrong side.
That's all right. So I mean, since we're talking about the South here, that knife looks too big and scary for this project. Try this one. So we're talking a lot about the South here. I gotta ask, you've had grits, I assume? No? Really?
No. I've heard about them.
Cheese grits?
No.
So, I'll share a little secret. I hate grits. Grits are the
I don't
most
even
boring
know what they
thing.
are.
Mush. It's mush. That's what it is. Bland, boring mush. And the only way you can make a grit taste good is if you add a whole bunch of cheese or a whole bunch of hot sauce. That's my theory, but there's a bunch of people that swear by grits. They eat them every day. They love, love, love grits. But nope. So why don't you go ahead and read down that list of ingredients and see what we need next.
Okay, so there's the flour. Oh, we will need the garlic out again. Sweet onion, green bell pepper, celery. How do you pronounce it? Creole seasoning. Chicken broth, cooked chicken, the sausage, black-eyed peas, and then the shrimp.
Okay. So I'm gonna let you chop. Here's the deal. We don't wanna, I'm not trying to get your eyes all watery, I promise. Because there's an actual certain way of doing this, and it's high maintenance in the beginning,
Okay.
between the oil and the flour.
Oh.
Because you actually kind of have to make almost like a roux.
Oh yeah, that's
Right?
up here.
Yep. And so you have to be really careful. And also, you have to make sure that if you don't want the flour to burn, because then it's ruined and you got to start all over. Okay?
Okay.
So we want chunks of onion, not real
So
small.
not like diced or anything.
Yeah, so this is about, I would say about half that size.
Okay.
Because it's gonna actually be cooking for a long time.
Okay.
And we're only gonna need a cup of that. I'm gonna go ahead and add the oil over here. And, all right, so I may have pawned the onions off on you, but I'll take care of the flour for you. How's that?
Okay. Good deal. Now I had this making chili like a week ago. I had this onion and it was awful. It was the worst onion I've ever cut. And even when I was cooking it, it was like making like this
Oh no, it's horrible.
like this tear gas in the house.
Okay, so I'm gonna go a half cup of this flour.
This is really cool.
Grab my whisk again. So you want to make sure and do the, every stove is different, but you want to make sure and do the oil over medium heat. Now there's a step that I have inadvertently forgotten here. So I'm going to back off this a little bit because once we get this roux going, everything is going to go really quick. What I forgot to do is I need to peel our shrimp.
Oh,
So you need about a pound for this recipe. And I got a tiny bit more because I always think more is better. But, and if you're smart, you're gonna get your own shrimp, and it doesn't matter if it's fresh or frozen. You just don't want to buy the cooked kind. So I had a choice when I was over at Safeway today, and I almost made that mistake because.
I got already cooked.
Well, here's the deal. Remember we were talking about the mud bugs earlier? Mm-hmm. If you already get the cooked shrimp and you put those in your gumbo, these are not going to soak up all those Creole seasonings.
Oh.
See what I mean? So that's a huge no-no. So there's like little southern cooking secrets.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, starting to feel the onion.
Are you?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. So you want to get big shrimp. And man, I'm losing my touch. I used to be a pro at doing this. But when you get them, also by virtue of where we're at here in Alaska, If you get these bigger shrimp, it's going to be essentially the same size as a crawdad. Ooh, yeah. I feel those onions now too. Definitely. So I bet you didn't know this. Now this is just kind of a totally one-off fact that I just actually learned recently. So when I was in college, I actually spent 8 weeks one summer living and working in New Orleans. And that was really neat, and I got to know the city very, very well. And it was a really, really cool place. I mean, you know, just like they show on TV, the best jazz ever, the best food, the most odd, bizarre people you've ever crossed paths with. All right, so then, you know, fast forward to Katrina. And I still remember when that went down because, you know, we were just hop, skip, and a jump 9 hours east in Tallahassee. And that was really crazy because, you know, when that thing started to come in on shore, you couldn't go east on I-10, which is our main highway that crosses, you know, the entire Gulf Coast between all the cities, because so many people were fleeing. So obviously very tragic situation in New Orleans with Katrina and all the disaster and aftermath and, you know, just the horrible, horrible stories, you know, of everything that happened to people. But fast forward to this day, New Orleans and Louisiana as a state in particular is actually, economically speaking, they are the equivalent, if not a little bit better than Alaska. They're one of the top states in terms of being prosperous, having the least amount of debt right now, and being business friendly. So you've got, you know, and there's been some pretty interesting times, right, that the nation's been going through, but you've got Alaska, North Dakota with their oil, and believe it or not, after all of that tragedy in New Orleans with Katrina, Louisiana out in the forefront of the nation when it comes to economics. So that kind of probably didn't make you hungry, huh?
Okay, that should be good. One cup, right?
Yeah, 1 cup. And again, you know, it's just like when you're making your chili at home. The first time I make the recipe, you're gonna follow the recipe, right? And then after that, just start throwing stuff in the pan. So the recipe also called for a cooked and shredded chicken. So don't kill me if you're watching this out there, but I have this horrible dread of Mexican food. In particular, shredded chicken.
Me too.
I'm not doing my gumbo that way with that horrible style of meat. So what we're gonna do is, since we're gonna have our hot oil and our roux, what we're gonna do is we're gonna cube the chicken.
I don't know if I'm doing this right.
Okay, I'll show you how to do it. This is really easy. Take it like this, put your thumbs there, and then go around.
Feet.
Yep, you gotta take the feet off. And just, right, just like that. And then rip the tail off. You always wanna make sure that the feet are gone though. Now, if we really wanted to be, make it really spicy, you know what we could do is we would take our shrimp and set up a second pot, right? We'll let Jacob, the camera dude, make this call. He can nod or shake the camera based on his opinion. So we would set up a second pot of boiling water, put our chicken to cook in the main pot, right? So that cooks through and that's healthy to eat. And then set this up with a whole bunch of Creole spice and red pepper and let it infuse through the shrimp, right, for a few minutes. And then dump our shrimp into the gumbo. So, is that a yes or a no? Okay.
Yes.
Jacob likes it spicy.
I'm a big spicy food person.
Oh, that's so funny. You know, I was just talking to someone today, and I said, we're just having a foodie talk, and I said, you know what? I don't eat spicy food. I do not eat. I can cook it all day long and throw down some of the best most spicy food that you ever laid your tongue on, but I will not eat it. And there have been a lot of times where I've made dishes where people are just like, oh my gosh. And I'm like, I don't know, I didn't taste it. I just started throwing a bunch of stuff in there. And besides, remember, if you're gonna make gumbo for a crowd, you don't wanna make it too spicy right off the bat because you can always put some Zatarain's hot sauce in there. You know what Zatarain's is?
I've heard it, never had it.
The best. The best. Okay, so we have some shrimp there. And there's some more. Let's go ahead and do that too. Hey, I'll tell you what. I've got a great idea. We'll set up these shrimp in the separate pot with the spicy stuff, and we'll do those without.
Okay.
So we'll have a little bit of each. That sounds like a fair trade-off. That way I can taste it without, as Joel would say, crying like a baby. They'll hear me in Sitka. This needs to be like way over here. It's like, I need a gas mask already. Hey, this is super easy. So I mentioned that it's gonna go really, really fast once we start the roux because it's high maintenance. Roux is high maintenance. Here is our shrimp that Jacob the camera dude suggested we spice up. So I've got my own pot over here with my Creole spices, and we're gonna infuse that water with the spices, and it should soak into the shrimp, and they should come out with little red flecks on them. Then we have the nice, sweet, you and me shrimp that will go right in the pot. And then we have a cup of celery, cup of onions, cup of green pepper, and that's it. That is it. It is very, very easy. So we have one last thing for you and I to chop up, and this is an andouille sausage. And we can do the andouille sausage together because the very last thing, as I mentioned before, we're gonna cube up some chicken as opposed to shredding it, right? And we don't wanna mix the poultry and everything. There we go. And if you see these in a local store, I only went to Safeway today. I like to shop at all of our local stores. But andouille can be hard to come by. So if you can't find it, you could use a hot Italian sausage. But if you're gonna make a true gumbo, what you wanna do is make sure that you use these kind of links, if you will. Don't do the ground sausage, because then it's gonna look like chili, right?
Yeah.
Don't do that, because you want to have the nice little round discs. Very cool. And just quick like chop these up.
About how big?
Great question. So let me move those over there. I'm gonna go about like that.
Chunks.
And these are fully cooked. So about like that. And then we're just gonna, again, get another bowl out and have all this stuff like a big assembly line ready to dump in there. Let's see if I can find a big enough bowl. Here we go. Sweet. Tell you what, I'll go over here and take care of the chicken. You know what? I noticed something right now. Look how nice and neat we are. If you knew who was here, it would be filthy, rotten, messy. Divine food, but a very, very messy man. Messy Chef Joel. Shame, shame, shame. And remember, after you're done, I mean, this is dumb. Everyone probably knows this, but just in case you don't, after I'm done doing this chicken on this cutting board, it needs to go bye-bye. I should not be cutting anything else on this. You can do the chicken chunks pretty big because they're going to shrink up. But really, it's just, you know, how do you want your gumbo to look and feel? This is going to be yummy. I can tell right now. Our shrimp water is almost boiling. So we decided as First City Rotary, we're actually going to be handing out beads.
Oh, really?
At Mardi Gras. However, we don't want you taking your clothes off. All we want you to do is buy a duck ticket. That's it. Buy a duck ticket. Don't take your clothes off. We'll give you some pretty beads.
So how much chicken? Like a couple breasts or?
They called for a pound of chicken. Great question. I'm actually going to go, this package says it's almost 3 pounds, so I've got half the package in here.
Okay.
So, I mean, this is a great visual for the folks at home. You can pretty much see how much of everything that we have going on right here. So, I mean, this is cooking up to be a pretty cool Louisiana little dinner. Because by the time we get all this stuff done, because we're going to throw this on, it's going to simmer, and then bam, whip out the sandwiches. That's just putting those bad boys together. And then by the time that's done, the gumbo will be done. And then all we got to do is deep fry. Woo! Woo! And you know, I got to be honest with you, now I really am missing Chef Joel, because he's like the king of roux. He loves roux. Everything has to have roux.
I have to admit, I have never even heard of it until now.
It is a good, God, I hope he doesn't watch this show, because inevitably I will be wrong. It's a really good thickening agent. It gives you a little bit of body on whatever you're cooking. Feel that. It's about, this is a year old.
Oh, wow.
It's about $20-something. At the A&P, I believe is where they have it. Best ever. Just keep it in your pantry, and you too can have chicken stock. Okay, so my oil is boiling over here, and I'm gonna start on this roux. So you want to add the flour, just a little bit at a time. Ultimately, you want your flour to be brown, but not dark brown, not black, not burnt looking.
Good.
So you need to add the flour little by little. You want it to be brown. See, it's still kind of creamy, but it's getting there, I can tell. And then we've got our spicy water. I'm running out of Creole seasoning, and shame on me, because I thought that might be the case when I went to the grocery and I didn't grab any extra. You can always make your own Creole seasoning. In this case, I put a bunch of seasoned salt and a bunch of red pepper in that water. So as soon as that starts boiling, we can throw your shrimp in there.
Big shrimp in there.
Yeah, okay, so see that? And it's getting right there. So now, if you could grab our onions, that would be awesome. Turn this down a tiny bit. Go ahead and dump those in. And we'll grab a bunch of garlic too. Oops, that's all right. Throw a couple of spoonfuls in there. Yep, perfect. Ooh, and it's really starting to smell good now. Okay, and then if you want to do me a favor, you can put another couple of spoonfuls of that. I'm gonna go ahead, I'm starting to get a little scared here. Go ahead and take that off the heat for now before we burn it.
Oh, you still want me to put the spoonfuls in?
Yep.
Okay.
Drop them right in the pot. Good job. And then we're gonna go 1 cup celery, 1 cup green peppers, and we're gonna throw a little bit of water in there. You are just about ready for your spicy shrimp. The one thing you'll do in this gumbo making process is use a lot of bowls. Here's what I'm gonna do. So you can grab the shrimp. I'm gonna pull this back onto the heat, and I'm gonna put just enough water to cover that. See how I did that? Mm-hmm. You don't want to do any more at this moment, because our goal here
So just
Yes.
drop it in.
Yep, just, you're so funny. Just drop it in. Yeah, just,
Okay. I don't want to like splash.
oh, I can smell, can you smell that pepper? Ew, it's spicy. Okay, then put this chicken in there. And I need a wooden spoon now. Wow, that smells so good.
Bam.
Okay, so now what I would do is, if you're not familiar with shrimp, just go 2 minutes. I mean,
Yeah, they
give
cook
them a little
pretty
stir.
Quick.
Yeah, give them a little stir so you can make sure and get those spices around. I have seen some people throw in hot sauce into the water. Redneck cooking brought to you. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn this heat back on because I've got my roux, and my goal here is to get this chicken cooked all the way through. And so crank that bad boy up. Over here and see. Ooh, nice. I'm gonna put a little more red pepper in there. I might actually do the deed and put some hot sauce in there too. Yeah.
Slap your mama.
Slap your mama hot sauce. Slap your mama. There we go. We'll just leave that there for the visual. Perfect. This is not too hard, is it?
No.
So the secret ingredient, next up we're gonna add shrimp and the andouille. And then at the very end, frozen black-eyed peas thawed. Now they called for 1 bag. I went ahead and got 2 because I don't trust them. If I like my gumbo a little thicker, or maybe for some reason I accidentally added enough water, I'm gonna get extra black-eyed peas to throw in there and thicken it up. I also, pardon my reach, always grab a couple extra vegetables because if you need to add more, then you can do that. Nice. Oh yeah. Okay, see how the that's not a good example, but down in there was one that had a whole bunch of red on it. That's cool. And we're just gonna go ahead and turn that off and let those guys sit there for a minute. Okay, so this is thickening up awesome. This is really, really cool.
So the one kind of gumbo I have had, it was more of a darker color. Is that what this is gonna?
This might get darker with the black-eyed peas.
Oh, okay.
So I'm gonna throw our regular unspicy shrimp in and let those guys kind of swim around in there, cook, little shrimpies cook. And okay, so I'll tell you a funny story. We're talking all the funnyisms about, you know, Southern culture and being in Alaska. I've always made fun of myself, you know, being redneck diva and all this other stuff. So this guy shows up at our Rotary meeting this morning, and he's from Jacksonville, Florida. And I'm like, yes, my Florida peeps. And he is so funny because apparently he had been here last summer when we were building our float, and he's like, I knew I had the right Rotary Club because y'all were building a big float. It was 12 o'clock in the afternoon and you were drinking beer too. And I'm like, yes, that is so validating. That is so Southern. Okay, so in goes the andouille sausage. And I can tell right now, we're gonna add more water.
Yeah, it's very, very
It's
thick.
getting really, really thick. I mean, this, holy smokes, this is gonna feed a lot of people. So I'm gonna add just a tiny bit more. Ooh, you know what I'm gonna add? That water.
Oh, good idea.
Yep. Ding!
Yes.
1 point for Michelle. Ooh, this I think is gonna have a little heat to it. But just in case, if not hot enough for Jacob the camera dude, we can add some of the Slap Your Mama sauce.
Cracks me up the names they come up with.
And my mama sent that to me for Christmas. It's like, you need this sauce. Okay. Nice, nice. And see, our chicken is starting to cook through too. So that is perfect. Okay, we've got our shrimp done. I'll probably add more water as we go. Put the cover on this. Next up, muffalettas.
Okay.
Let me go black-eyed peas. That has gotten really thick. But remember, since these are frozen, they're gonna have some moisture in them. And I still think it's almost not red enough. We'll do a little taste test in a little bit. Remember, it's kind of like cutting hair when you're adding hot spices. Once you cut your hair too short, you can't put it back on. So taste, add a little bit more. Taste, add a little bit more. And see how these, the brown is in there? That might have been why the gumbo that you had was a little darker.
Oh.
Or they might have burned their roux.
Maybe.
Never know. Just saying. Alaskans trying to cook gumbo.
Did you have a fun time with Sherry Fisher?
Yes.
She's
Totally.
hilarious. She's one of my friends, and she cracks me up.
That is the one commonality between Alaska and the Deep South is good fishing.
Those onions, oh my goodness.
Are those ones?
Tell me
Are
about
those pretty
onions
harsh
today.
too?
My eyes are burning, so I'm assuming that's what it is.
We don't have to use them.
No, it's fine.
Okay, so I'm gonna do one last addition to the
Water.
gumbo. Some of
It's a
our
lot of gumbo.
spicy water. And that should do it. Nice, this is looking absolutely amazing.
It's almost like a stew.
It is. It is, and I've also, you know, just like some people add things like rice to their chili, you can do gumbo with rice. In fact, it's awesome when you serve it over rice. Little Zatarain's yellow rice. And believe it or not, those Zatarain's yellow rice packages, and they also have a dirty rice and a spicy rice, and they sell them in little packages about that big.
I do the yellow rice one with,
Yep.
you like do that and then you add like black beans to it. It makes really good.
Yeah, and just whip up that. It's super easy to create, and you're good to go. So remember this?
Yeah.
This is the ultimate, for me, thrift store find. And this is what we made all of our grilled cheese sandwiches with last time you were on the show. And I did something special for you that I've done for virtually no one else.
What?
People can go to our YouTube page at Live and Catch Can and watch the entire episode of the week of grilled cheese sandwiches that we did.
Awesome.
So what we're fixing to do right now, get that southern term? I'm fixing to
Fixin'.
do something. I'm fixing to do something. What we're fixing to do right now is very similar to what we did before. And that is we're gonna make our heated muffaletta sandwiches. And I'm missing a part of my kitchen. I may have packed it up already, who knows? We're gonna go ahead and slice these long ways. Okay. Then we're gonna go ahead and start constructing our sandwiches, and it's really easy. A muffaletta always comes with ham, salami, and a cheese. In this case, we can do provolone or baby Swiss. And we're gonna wipe the sides of the bread. Let me grab a little knife. And with our secret olive sauce, and then we're gonna go ahead and grill them on up.
Do we need mayonnaise?
No mayonnaise today. But we do need some butter. I'm gonna go a little. At least we'll feel healthier before we eat the beignets if I use a little bit of this spray instead of butter, right?
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and get this move in. And we're gonna go ahead, you know, this is actually big enough where probably go kind of like that.
Ooh.
Yeah. And this is supposed to be, you know, if there's a little bit of liquid in there, that's totally fine. And we're gonna, wow, you're right, those onions are strong. Lay some salami. And next up, some ham. And I think I'll go with provolone this go round. Some people like to eat these just cold. I really don't. And depending upon your level of spice, then that's how you would determine. Yeah, those onions. Whew, I don't know if what Cajun thing we're cooking, but it's making my nose run. I'm not go double on this olive stuff.
And just because I like cheese, I'm gonna go with both provolone and Swiss.
There we go. So what I was looking for is the thing that my press.
Oh, your press.
Yep, my press, and it's missing. It's probably on its way as we speak to the new test kitchen. The new test kitchen in the sky. So in absence of something better,
Can I use another frying pan?
I think I'll use the pan that I was saving to whack Jacob across the head with because he keeps filming us in inopportune moments. What do you think?
Sounds like a good plan.
Okay, you want to throw yours down?
Sure.
And these do not need much time at all. You just want them to get warm. Yours is taller than mine, so move this out a little bit. There we go. And Simply Bella does sell the sandwich presses. Sweet, that's it. How was that for hard?
Pretty easy.
Yeah, I thought you would feel really comfortable back into kind of our grilled cheese
Sandwiches.
mantra, right? Sandwiches with Brionna. Do a quick double check on the gumbo. Ooh, nice. Oh, it smells so good. Did you get with that? That is nice.
It's fine.
This would be good to, really once you kind of get the roux set up, you could really get this set quick like the sandwiches. You could get this set nicely on a slow cooker and just go to work and come home to a great meal. Yep, perfect. Yep, just warm enough. This is not like a grilled cheese. Not like a grilled cheese. Go back there. Yes, to the fire chief. I do have a handy fire extinguisher, just so you know. It's right there, right there. Cool. Should we do a taste test?
Yes.
I'm thinking we should too.
'Cause I am really hungry. All these smells and...
Different kind of smells than you're used to, right?
Yes. Yeah, I've never cooked,
Cajun?
yes. This is my first time.
This is where the saying comes from, Ragin' Cajun. My old boss back in Tallahassee was from Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and they called him the Ragin' Cajun. And he was verifiably crazy, in a good way. Okay, nice, look at that. Okay, ready?
Yes.
Oh, let's take the front one. So here's the deal. I just got this kind of bread. If you wanted to have smaller muffaletta sandwiches, you could get the little kind of roll buns and the round ones. Oh my God, it's so good. Yay! Amen, I feel like I'm home.
I love that olive
Isn't that great?
salad.
Totally makes sense.
You want to bite, Jake?
Yes.
Amen, the Lord has arrived. Okay. That is good.
I can't keep eating it because
Oh my God, that is so good. That's the best sandwich I've had in a long time. Okay, can you see why this would be a good addition?
yes.
So this is how you do it. Before you lay the olive salad on the bread or whatever layer you want. I mean, there's nothing to say. It doesn't have to be next to the bread. I just like it that way. What you do is you sprinkle a little bit of the zesty Italian
Like on the bread.
on the bread. Kind of like you were asking, do we need mayonnaise? No, because this will do the trick. And it almost makes it It's almost like an Italian sub.
Yeah.
So the fable goes like this, that years ago, Sicilians used to live in New Orleans, and so they would open up on Decatur Street, they would open up their stores, and they would sell these as street vendors. And so that's how they came about to be a New Orleans tradition.
They're delicious. I've never even heard of them until today, but
All right, let's pull some gumbo and make some beignets
okay.
after I finish my sandwich. Ooh, it's looking tasty. Moment of triumph.
Okay,
The gumbo.
the gumbo.
Okay, so now having made this easy recipe, which is a little bit different than my regular recipe, this one I would definitely have rice on the side. And just in case it's not spicy enough for Jacob the camera dude, got to slap your mama out. Okay, let's see.
Oh yeah, I want some shrimp.
Oh man. That is tasty. Let's see if it's got, you know, that bite, the 5-second delay, and then it comes back and gets you.
Yep.
Now, okay, so for me, yeah, it does. But just enough.
Yeah, there's like a slight burn, but not bad. Not like, oh my goodness, my mouth is on fire.
No, not at all. Not at all. And that says that we high five on that, girlfriend, because that tells me that we did it perfectly. Because the person that really likes their mouth on fire, then they can come in and add what
Yeah.
they want.
Bam,
So.
bam, bam.
Oh man, that's good stuff. I'm gonna make that again.
That's really good. Yeah, I like the flavor.
Ta-da!
Oil.
It should be like this. You know that heaven love to the ode to the oil. Okay, so I'm not going to use our deep fryer today, just for the sake of, you know, we're kind of in a transition here in the test kitchen because I can't even find my rolling pin. So this is going to be really interesting. But we're going to do this in this iron skillet. This is how they would have done it anyway. And this oil needs to be heated up if you're going to use your deep fryer to 360. Very important. So obviously the dough has been rising. Now the $1 million question is, can we get it out of here? And so we want to roll it out so it's, I'm going to flatten it out so it's about, I would say if you're thinking about making sugar cookies,
Yeah.
you know, you want it to be, there we go, just kind of, and we might even be able to spread this pizza dough style.
Oh, that's another thing I've been making a lot of pizza. Homemade pizza.
There we go. Next show with Brionna, pizza.
Homemade pizza. Courtesy of my dad.
Oh, he's an amazing cook.
Yes, he
We
is.
all know that. He's like the only man on the face of the earth that ever got me to eat Mexican food.
Really? Mm-hmm. Oh, did he make tostadas or?
I forget what he made. I think so.
Where it was like in the pan, like
Yes.
piles. Yep, tostadas. I was just talking to him about those the other day. About how I want him to make me some.
Okay, so this is not rocket science. Or so I've been told. Because you notice where did I get all my recipes?
Southern living.
It's like my personal Bible. Okay, so let's see. We'll do an experiment after I heat up this oil and we'll see if we got it thin enough. Remember, they're supposed to be called little bumps.
Oh, so they're like
Yeah.
explode.
Yeah, and people make them different ways. There's a lot of people that make them really, really fancy. They make them really fancy and they'll like twist them like pretzels, or they make them, some people make them super fancy and it almost looks like a piece of lace.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so your fancier 5-star restaurants will do that. In our case, we're just gonna keep it simple and grab a butter knife and do it the more traditional way, which is a square. Just like that.
So are they almost like sopapillas?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay.
very similar. But if you were gonna have a fancy, you know, kind of breakfast party, then what I would do is I would cut them in thin strips and make them look like a pretzel, make them have some sort of design. You could do a heart, I mean, whatever you want. So I'm gonna heat up the oil and we'll get busy. Gumbo is smelling awesome.
Let's see if I make it work. What's the name? Supposed to be 1/8.
It's gonna be a big blob.
Probably.
And then we're gonna smother it in on all the sugar. Check this out. You know you're in a southern kitchen because this wasn't enough. So then I had to use this. All gone. Okay, we're gonna wait for our oil to heat up.
Gonna get a shot of a lopsided heart.
Yeah. It's like watching water boil. That thing is happening. Look at that. No wonder they're called bumps.
Yeah.
Because look at it, look at that. Wow.
Are we supposed to flip them or anything?
I think I will. It's kind of like pancakes. The first one you put in there is always the worst. Look at that. Okay, prepare yourself. Arm yourself with the powdered sugar.
Powdered sugar.
See if I cooked them long enough. All right, powder those bad boys up.
Still big.
There you go. Sweet.
Ta-da!
I'm gonna let it cool down for a minute first.
See, I want to try my heart. See if it really will stay. You want to give me a big one?
All right, let me do the little ones first, then we'll put the heart in by itself. Do you smell that?
It's almost like a fry bread.
Yeah, totally exactly what I was just thinking. When they're hot, too.
Good?
Very good. Yummy.
Oh, wait a second. Let it cool down.
These ones are getting huge. Oh wait, we were gonna do yours one more. Sorry. Yikes! I left you standing there with your heart.
Oh no. Throw it in there.
Just lay it in there.
No, it's like a claw. Shape stayed pretty well.
So you could feasibly make, like, if you had cookie cutters. I think you're right. It is like fry bread.
Yeah.
Just all the world over. But now people know where it came from.
Yes.
Sweet. So, all right, thank you so much. That was super fun.
Yeah, I had a lot of fun. I had my first Cajun.
Cajun.
Deep
South cuisine.
Yes.
All
first
right.
time cooking it.
Okay, so now you know what the beads are for. You know what Mardi Gras is all about, and you know how absolutely important a parade is.
Yes. And speaking of beads, I did make you these.
Oh, sweet. Oh, awesome. Very cool.
Handmade, like hand wrapped
Oh, thank
wire
you.
and everything. Oh, here's the other one.
Oh, very nice. Oh, nice. Thank you. They're so cute. I can't wait to wear them. My very own Mardi Gras beads.
Yes.
Right here in Ketchikan. Sweet. Hey, thanks for watching. We'll check you out when we get to the new test kitchen. All right, so I've got a major problem here. Hello. Stop. Turn that off. I gotta fix this.